So last week I did $4,441 in what was quite like a surprise because my wife and my daughter were told by a bunch of friends that the lake nearby overflowed because we've had some rainfall. So we got in the car on a Wednesday, phone was out of sight, and then I came back to some transactions. And when I shared them over on Threads, there was a few accusations who were like, "Oh, this is fake, this is that," and I found that a little funny and amusing. And I'm just holding a photo of me in the living room over there, trying to show the transaction to that person. Don't know if you can see it here. So that's like Thrivecart, and even Thrivecart answered below on the thread. So I thought I would speak to that a little bit because there was some really, really interesting information that came from this experience. It's my dog, Coconut. Coconut, come on. He's like looking at the pool, ready to jump in. So I thought I would speak to that experience and share the insight that was derived from it because it was such an interesting play, right? So I've got a message here that I'm going to read from the onboarding form. I've also put it up on Threads where I share like daily musings. But it said, the thing that made me join Modern Maker, which is the name of the program that I have, is I have never bought something so fast. It was so clear what I would get. You have figured out something that is very, very rare. Realness and actual care with automated funnels, and I want to crack that for myself. So this was the high ticket on the end, and if you remember the screenshot I just shared, there was 12 transactions. One of them was $5K for somebody who wants to install that funnel with me, right? Over a period of 3 months. And the other 400 or so came from digital products. So I've got a little bot that tracks the transactions that I have over, and I share all of that publicly on LinkedIn and on Threads. And you can see here where I'm circling the Telegram bot. And then other transactions that come through my phone. The green one was the lady who subscribed, but everything that is in red is the low ticket, orange is like the order bumps, and the green is the higher ticket. So usually what I did, like off the back of last year, I did a lot of launches, and these numbers aren't crazy once you have the system set up. I've actually had days that were bigger in terms of revenue, but this one hit different because we were out by the lake in the mountains. My phone wasn't there, and I only realized this had happened after I got in the car and we got home. So the setup that is worth noting here is off the back of last year, I basically looked at various accounts and various transactions, and my accountant always points out ascension because that's what I'm obsessed with to the smallest detail. And I've gone through, worked and installed so many funnels. He pulled out a transaction where he showed I took 2,441 calls from 2023 to 2026 that were one-on-one, where people who are consultants, coaches, service providers who just, are time poor, come to me for the funnels, and I show them how to, the conventional way of doing funnels was having a PDF or a course on the front end and then a send in the back end. But what happened over time with the rise of AI is I realized we had an ascension problem. If you gave away a 3-hour course on the front end for $9 or $200 or whatever, if people don't consume it, then they don't implement it, and then therefore they don't want to ascend into your one-on-one. Now, if you're somebody like, off the top of my head, I can think of Maria Wendy. She's like a low-ticket queen who gets, hundreds of thousands of dollars selling low ticket and has a big audience, and I have massive respect for her. Great, but you need the volume. Or people on LinkedIn we may know, like Justin Welsh or Dan Coe, who have like a crazy big audience, versus people like ourselves who don't. Or I at least started with a very small one, and I've got 50,000 over on LinkedIn now, but let's say my Instagram has 3,000. So the funnel that I built caters for people who have smaller audiences or want to play the ascension game without going for crazy volume. So the funnel that I did that led to that $5,400 day was, I have on the front end a diagnostic tool. It's something that gives someone a game plan, which came from my accountants, right? They were like, Jacob, whenever you take a one-on-one call, the ascension, hey friend, is there, because up to 30%. So I was like, okay, I've now got a daughter. We just moved into this place that I'm sitting in the garden now. I don't have the time to do these one-on-one calls all the time. So I built a little bot, which, was initially powered by GPT, OpenAI. Now you can do it on Claude, on Gemini, on whatever you want, which basically mimics my human behavior. So on the front end for $5, little transactions I showed you on my phone are those transactions. So it does what I would do in an hour for you then and there in 5 minutes. So it asks you the 10 questions that I would ask you in a one-to-one call, and is trained to give you the outcome, of which I found through analyzing. About 70% of my clients who wanted a low ticket funnel wanted something very similar to what I'm explaining now. A little diagnostic, a report, some sort of like a diagnosis on the front end, similar to the SEO days, right? You would opt into a website, they would say, hey, your website's not getting traffic for XYZ reason, and you would get red lights and green lights. And then you would ask the SEO agency if they could fix it for you, right? So same principle. I come from the agency world myself as well. Like, I closed it down a few years ago, but I took that very raw principle, instead of having like a survey or a type form or a Google form, where do people mingle in AI nowadays? So I brought those 10 questions over and mimicked that behavior. So the lady who came through, similar to how others come through, it just doesn't happen so instantly, got the game plan tool, which I'll attach below if you want to take a look, bought the order bumps and the upsells, if you remember the orange colors I circled. So the way that I set it up is the game plan gives you what you need to do. The orange bits, so the order bumps and the upsells, give you a little bit of how, and then the final sell is, do you want to go faster? So that is the 5K one-on-one that I had. Or I have a group tier as well for people who can't or don't want to do one-on-one and they're okay with being in a group, which is half of that price. So what was fascinating to me was, when you offer a survey, a diagnostic, whether it's a form or a GPT or a Claude bot or whatever, people don't have to consume, they basically go into implementation mode right away. So when she said your funnel is set up so nicely, it took me a while to get this right, but as soon as it clicked, I was like, oh my God, I get it now. Give people the what, upsell them the how, and then the final thing is support if they want to go faster with you. And I'm not somebody who's looking to scale drastically, like, I love my one-person business. It got me where I am today. And in the process of doing that, I get to work with a finite amount of individuals, and that model makes me happy. I don't want to have a team. I don't want to hustle. I don't want to go through all of that stuff that I did. The reason why I closed the agency was because I pretty much built a little prison for myself, even though I escaped the corporate world and the agency life as an employee. So this was my way of slowing down. And all that to say, now that I've got the funnel dialed in, I can post organically, do videos like these, or go on my LinkedIn, my Instagram. You too as well can do the same if you have something like that, and then offer people to go faster. It's never been simpler. And now my daughter turned 1 last month, and it's amazing to see her. Like, she's almost walking and doing. And for me, I'm getting into the world of ads. It's been like 8 months or so now, where this little funnel that works so nicely organically, I just run $10 a day of ads, and recently tried 20, for example. And obviously ads will fatigue, and you got to change the creative every 3 or 4 weeks. But at most, like, once the thing works organically, paid acquisition is just getting more views to the thing that worked. So now I'm getting, I think my world is set up about 85% organic, coming from LinkedIn and Instagram and YouTube, and then the other 10 to 15% is coming from the ads through that little launchpad, the little AI thing that then ascends people faster. So it was wild to me to see, because when somebody is a sophisticated buyer, they know they have a problem, they're looking for a solution, and they're just looking for who gels with them. So what I realized with the lady who bought is, like, she already knew the problem she had. She was just looking for the right service provider, and something I said gelled well, because in her report she said you had the funnel set up and you're chill, basically. Or, some people say your vibe attracts your tribe, right? So that is where your essence, your true colors, who you are, is what they buy into before what you do at that level. So the same way I've documented on this YouTube channel, or everything I do over on LinkedIn publicly, the good, the bad, the ugly, this was one of those moments that I really wanted to document that had an edge case or an outlier. And the reason why, and I'll drop another video where I go through this analysis on my laptop inside. It was a previous video where I show the doodles and the diagrams. Usually it can take 30 to 40 days, right? And in the past, before this funnel, sometimes people would come and be like, I've been following you on LinkedIn for 8 months. And that, to me, rung alarm bells. I'm like, I need to create bingeability for people to not take 8 months to buy something. So that's where I introduced video, and videos like these, and email and whatnot, because I used to believe that the more emails I send, the more time they spend on my email, eventually they'll buy. Versus now that I've set it up in a way where the medium takes 30 to 40 days. And of course, not everybody ascends, right? Like, I would say out of 100 buyers, maybe 10 of them on average, give or take, sometimes less, will ascend over time to become one-on-one clients. So I always play for that 10%. And with the ads, you can get 1,000 buyers and aim to get, 100 clients over a year, I'm saying. It doesn't have to be there. But once you set up that funnel, then for that 10%, you can optimize the time that it takes for them to ascend. And I've got this little email called the DM driver. So to those buyers, because you're dealing with customers, right? When people buy $5 or $9 products, they're now a customer. They're not a lead, so they need a lot less convincing. You can talk to them very differently, because leads show intent. Buyers and customers have shown commitment. So it's so much easier to talk to somebody who's already committed, right? And is in the funnel. So I have like a DM driver sequence. It's about 4 emails, and sometimes you can turn it into 10. It depends on what you want, to take those customers and turn them into clients. And that's pretty much the setup. It is, number 1, get someone to opt in. Number 2, get them to buy something between $5 to $9, something really small, make a commitment. And to buy that commitment, they watch a little video. Number 3, set up 4 emails and ask them if they want to go faster. And that's that, right? So I hope this video was useful. I'll drop some of the links down below. If you have questions, you can shoot them my way as well. And myself and little coconut here wish you subscribe to this channel, ask questions, and hopefully I can help you in the next video.